Hello everyone and welcome. It is I and Lainie, that is obviously, and this is Big Girls Really Do Cry, and this is photos of the month. Well, it's kind of photos of the month. It's sort of some of this month and a little bit of the back end of last month, which is technically last year, so that's weird. Anyway, we're starting off with this photo I took of Mowbray Park, or part of Mowbray Park in the Winter Gardens. It was just a reflection of it. I just really liked it. I think it's probably one of the clearest reflection photographs I've got. Well, one of a few anyway. But especially when it's like of a view of something, if that makes sense, rather than just a bird, which is what usually happens. Okay, so speaking of birds, we'll move on to our first. Now, I believe this is a song thrush, but it could be a missile thrush, but I'm thinking it's more song thrush because it's more creamy rather than white. These are one of the birds that you'll quite often hear singing first thing on the morning because they're like 3 a.m. call. And they also quite like bashing snails off rocks. So if you ever find a snail bashed off a rock in your garden, it's possibly one of them. Now, moving on to the pied Wag Teal. Now, these, as far as I'm concerned, were the inventors of twerking. So if you've ever seen one, they like wag their tail, hence their name. And I think this is where twerking came from. It came from the bird world. The male and females are pretty similar, but during breeding, the males look darker than the females. So the females look more grey, but in the winter months it's hard to tell. So now we move on to a dunnock. So this is obviously little dunnock, and it's near enough impossible to tell the male from the female. They're about the same size as a robin, and apparently the females of these she'll mate with a couple of fellas, you know, because then they don't know who's her chicks are, and so she can get them both to feed them, etc. Which, yeah, I see where she's going. So moving on to one of my favourites. This is a Mandarin Duck. Absolutely beautiful colours. This is a male Mandarin Duck. The females are just brown, but that tends to be what happens. And these were introduced here. Well, they say introduced here, but they quite could be escaped or released here. And because they're normally sort of from Asia or even Russia, I think. But yes, they were introduced or released or whatever here. They're pretty shy birds. And when they nest quite high up in the trees. When the just after the eggs hatch, the female flies down to encourage them to basically fall out the tree, essentially, which doesn't sound good for a mother, does it? But once they're back into the water, the dad will help protect them, but he doesn't, as far as I'm aware, doesn't go up to the nest. I mean, maybe helps build it or whatever. But absolutely stunning in colour. And I was really gobsmacked when I first saw one. I was like, what is this sort of budgie chicken multicoloured looking thing? But it's like the purples, the green, the blue, the white, the sort of orange. It's just absolutely beautiful and such a pretty bird. And yeah, I have seen that they are pretty shy. Whenever I've been around, it's quite hard to try and get a picture of him. But as you can see here, he was kind of going backwards a little bit because there was a couple of male birds having an argument, and you can just see the edge of the male mallard, who looked quite aggressive. The female's in the background, female mallard, and he was quite aggressive, but I think he was having an argument with another mallard rather than him. He just got in the way. You can also see like how much of a tuft of his hair, feathers there is at the back, because there's like a gap. and when they bend the head forward, there's like, it literally looks like their head's gonna come off because it doesn't look like it's on properly. It's really weird, but yeah, absolutely beautiful. And the colours are so iridescent, and like I said, they're pretty shy, and they're a lot smaller than the mallard. I was trying to think how much smaller, but they're quite a bit smaller. But like I said, I've never seen a female, and where I live, I've only ever seen one, and he seems to come back. I mean, I've seen him the last couple of winters, so I'm assuming he comes here every winter, but never seen a female, sadly. But hopefully one day, you never know. Okay, and we are now moving on to one of my favourite birds again. So this is the long-tailed tit. Again, with the male and female, they are too similar to tell apart, but they are super cute and very fluffy. And in certain lights, the fur looks pinkish in places. But the nest in so if their nest fails, the base, because they hang about in sort of families, in groups, and they fly about in groups, and if their nest fails, they'll help another family member bring up their kids and feed their kids. So it's quite cute, really. But absolutely love these, and they're tiny. It's really hard to see, and they've got this really long tail. But yeah, super cute. So look out for them, because they're worth paying attention to, is what I say. They're very twittery as well, and like just they twitter a lot when they're flying about. So does goldfinches. Okay, moving on. Blue tits. So this was on my bird feeder, clearly, as you can tell. And he's got a peanut. Oh, because you can't tell the difference between these again. The two alike. Some people say the females are slightly duller, but yeah, I can't tell. But the weird thing is, birds, like all birds, blue tits see in ultraviolet light. But what's different about them is the front of their head glows brightly under UV light, and they believe that is how the females choose a mate, because apparently the more glowy your head is, the better. It means you're going to be a good partner or something. I don't know. The only thing you can tell apparently is, and you'll be able to see is that bit in the middle. Females usually have a patch that they pluck away themselves, I believe, so it's to incubate the eggs, and I'm sure it's only females. Well, I might be wrong, so don't question me on that. And they make it, like, I don't know if that line's the start of it, and then they make it like bigger. I assume it's to allow the heat to transpire through better. I don't really know, but yeah. But yeah, I took these a few days ago, actually, I think it was, and it was just like round the doors, as it were, and he or she looked a bit mad. They were just looking a bit angry, and I got a few different looks, but it was a nice bright day, so that always helps with the better picture, I guess. You can sort of see better. But yeah, these are super cute, and I quite often get them on my bird feeder. Usually a couple at a time. Oh, that was a bit argumentative on that picture. But yeah, I tend to find all the little birds hang about with each other, like from the different breeds, which they don't do so much in the summer months and that, but in the winter months and leading up to spring, they sort of hang about in bigger groups. I think it's more protection, and the fact that they'll see more food. There's more chance of food, because if one finds it, then there's a chance that others will get it too. So, and I think that's why they do it. So these chaffinches, goldfinches, greenfinches, that all sort of hang about together. But yeah, and speaking of goldfinches, there is one. So yes, the goldfinch, again, can't tell apart between male and female. In the winter, they can have flocks of 100 birds, and again, the breed, they hang about with the other smaller birds as well. Historically, they used to be caged birds, like as a songbird, and also these two, which is a chaffinch. So this is a male chaffinch. The female chaffinch is more duller, more like creamy brown, and then with a bit of green and yellow, where he's got this sort of beautiful orangey red colour or brown colour. They say that that the male chaffinches have been known to have regional accents slightly, so their song is different depending on what area you live in. Okay, moving on. This is a greenfinch. This is a male greenfinch. The females are more a lot lighter, with more grey, and these are also hang about with other birds, but they're quite argumentative and squabble within themselves, as do goldfinches, and so they always win though. The greenfinches always win. Anyway, moving on. Mr. Crow here. I love this picture. He just looked at. I honestly felt like he was looking at me because I was looking out the window. I know they always look black, but there's a really subtle blue, green, purple sheen to their black fur, not fur, feathers. I'll get it right in a minute. But absolutely love crows, and the same with the jackdaw. But they're all part of the same family. So crows, jackdaws, rooks, ravens, magpies, they're all part of the same family. And they say that the crow family all have understanding, they all have understanding, what's the word? Like chimps can understand things. Apparently they have the same size brain, and they're good at using tools and stuff to gather food, also working out things, which means that they probably think about their social and physical environments. Also well known to be thieves, especially the jackdaw and the magpie. Jackdaw's mate for life. And the reason they're called jackdaw is jack meaning rogue, and daw is an imitation of the call. But I just love them, and I love their blue eyes, and also the magpie as well. I just find them so comical. They're apparently the increase in the magpie population has brought an increase in hate, because not only are there's a lot of superstitions and omens and things like that within films for all of the crow families and stuff, but again, they're good at using tools and stuff and being able to work things out. But I just love them. I think they're clever and funny. Okay, so this is a male blackbird. Male blackbird because he's actually black and he's got a yellow beak, where the female is brown. Last but not least, we'll move to the robin. Now, I love robins, and I think a lot of people do. They just kind of seem iconic with a lot of things. I also like the saying that robins appear when loved ones are near. So when loved ones who are no longer with us are near, you'll see robins, and I do see robin quite often. And this robin is my robin. It's not my robin, but he's the robin that I see all the time. I think he lives in the bush next to where I live, and so he's quite often on my bird feeder. And he does, and they're quite aggressively territorial birds apparently. and I have seen him chase many a small bird off. Not so much the bigger ones, but he does chase the smaller ones away. Now, in case you were wondering, robins are iconic with Christmas cards, basically, or Christmas in on a whole. And the reason being is in the Victorian era when postmen were nicknamed robins due to their red waistcoat, they were then made as Christmas cards to honour them because they delivered the cards, basically. So that's it from me. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe and let me know what your favourite is, and I shall put another video in the space up there for you to watch from the past. So catch you later. Bye bye.